Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grossi, and no, I am not homeless. This is Papa Grossi's house. Internet is still down. Internet will be down until Saturday. So until then, I'm on the original table, which I recorded Packcast on, and got Pete Rose in the back. So this is great. But while that's all well and good, we brought back a legend on the Packcast. We brought him for the first time this summer. And oh boy, did that episode get rave reviews. And so thankfully, I had enough money in my Venmo account to bring him back again. The one, the only, Adam Rank, back on Packcast.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. First of all, don't say that because people are going to think I am taking Venmo to do this. And that's
listen,
that's not
I
good.
just gave you a new revenue stream.
I'm not even on Cameo because that still seems like, I don't know. That's like the scene in Boogie Nights, the sister Christian scene of like, this is how far my career has fallen.
Yes.
That I'm now trying to sell baking powder to this guy with a cabin boy who's lighting off firecrackers. I don't want it to seem like that. So
I got you.
This is my pleasure to come on. And by the way, I did note the first time when I was here that as comics, neither one of us were wearing a hoodie, and I felt it was odd. And so we both went overboard today. We both made sure that we were wearing hoodies.
Yes.
So I appreciate that kind of symmetry. Also, did your dad purchase that Pete Rose photo as like an investment piece? Like, hey, Tom, this is your
college tuition, baby.
This is it, baby. You'll buy a house.
It's called a nest egg. Yeah.
Buy a house.
He actually bought that because I was with him. I think I was like 8 years old on a Carnival cruise. They were doing like some auction house thing, and there was a Pete Rose thing, and he was just like, I guess I have to have that. And
is it signed? No, not even signed.
I mean, there are signatures at the bottom. I don't know if it's the person who painted it, though. So
did you have to take it on the plane back from wherever your port of call was?
I think we might have drove to Florida. So okay. I think we literally just like shoved it in the van, and that was it. But that would have been an amazing thing to go through security.
Like, hey, got to put this in the overhead luggage.
Yeah, just trying to store it up there. Yeah, no, buddy, it's great having you. Oh, by the way, folks, you can find me on Cameo at cameo.com/Tom Grossi. Thank you very much. But
are you seriously on Cameo?
No, I'm not. I thought about it though. I did think about it. There was a second where I thought about it, but then I was like, I am totally not famous enough for that yet. So
I know. That's the one thing that's cool about not having an agent, because like they'll make you do that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I'm able to avoid it. So if you ever see me on Cameo, know that I've given up. Like
things have gone very wrong.
Things are bad. So something happened. I lost a lot of money on the golf course or something, and now I've got to go on Cameo.
There you go, buddy. Now, I'm so glad you came back on. And it really is like a perfect bookend, right? Because we brought you on like a couple of weeks before the regular season. You know, we talked about your Packers predictions, your Bears predictions. We were both very wrong on the Broncos predictions. Brandon Perno let us down tremendously.
F that guy.
Yeah, seriously. Never talking to him again.
If I wasn't friends with Brandon, I probably would have got the prediction right, but I feel like I gave them points. I gave them the benefit of the doubt a couple of times when I shouldn't have.
Yeah. No, I get that. You know, it's a lot of peer pressure. You want to do right by your friends, and unfortunately really bit us in the ass. So fast forward now to week 17. Which will be the concluding week in the regular season. And you got the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. Now, both in contention for the playoffs. One is obviously going to make it there. But you guys are right there too.
Yeah.
And I also want to give you a big shout out because you get a lot of crap about your predictions. Like a lot of crap all over the internet. You came on this show and flat out said it was going to be the Falcons game that they pulled Trubisky and they put in Nick Foles. You legitimately said that on this podcast. So,
and they would beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Nick Foles.
There you go. And you did it.
I'm the only thing I would have to go back and look because I can't imagine me thinking that the Vikings were ever going to beat the Bears. But I think the one that's really hanging me, actually, I think the two that are hanging me up is the Vikings loss and the loss to the Lions.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that I think that, because I had them losing to the Titans, losing to the Saints, beating the Bucks. And they should have. I mean, the Vikings game was garbage. That should have never happened.
Yeah.
There was a point where you're like, Nick Foles is kind of like, okay, maybe we should go back. But, he got hurt again. That's why. He just got hurt. That Lions game is inexplicable. And that's the one where, because like this week could be just a fun week. Like, F it, who cares? Like, we're in the playoffs. And for all the Bears fans who are so angry, and they all want Nagy fired, I was so happy to obviously win because I want them to go to the playoffs. But it's like, once they get 8 wins, they're not they weren't firing Nagy anyways. They're totally not firing him. You're not firing a coach who has not had a losing season yet, 2 years removed from a coach of the year accolade, and the quarterback situation still sucks.
Yeah.
Like if Ryan Pace gets blown out, like, okay. Like, you've never solved the quarterback issue. And they've gotten some decent performances from Mitch Trubisky. It's so funny because the Mitch Trubisky people, like, they'll sit there, he'll throw an interception in the end zone. Like, oh, come on, guys. Like, everybody throws an interception in the end zone. You guys are overreacting. This is crap. Leave the guy alone. Whatever. Like, they're so defensive about that, which is fine. Be that way. It's fine. Sure. I support Mitch Trubisky. I said, I support whoever is the quarterback of the Bears. I'm not rooting against anybody.
Makes sense.
I want whoever is the quarterback of the Bears to go out there and win. I don't care. I really don't care. But the thing is like, they've been playing really well over the last couple of weeks, and Matt Nagy has given up play calling and everything. And then there's a jet sweep called on 1st and goal or something like that. And they're like, oh my God, fire this guy. Fire this clown. Like, we're beating the Jags by fire this clown. He ran a jet sweep, but I'm like, coaches make interesting decisions. I'm not even sure that Matt Nagy is still calling. Like, who is calling the plays? Did he give it back? And there's some guys who are like, oh, I know. I heard from a friend who swore. I'm like, shut up. Like, I don't want to hear it. But if you're going to sit there and be the person who like, interception in the end zone, fine. One bad play call, calling a jet sweep at the one should not be a fireable offense. Like, correct. It's not. Especially when you're the 3rd highest scoring team in the league over the last month. Like, I don't know, like that losing streak came against a lot of good teams, and the Bears just aren't that upper echelon team. I think I had them at 9-7 or at best 10-6. Like, they just weren't going to be that way. Like, they probably need to switch an offensive coordinator, or not an defensive coordinator, excuse me. Yeah. They gotta get the scheme right again. And then they also, they need a couple more pieces on offense. Thankfully, they're getting rid of Allen Robinson. The dummies. Like, if I'm rooting against anybody, I'm rooting against Darnell Mooney, because the better he plays, the more they probably think that Allen Robinson is expendable. And I don't want them to think that.
Yeah.
Because I still, and David Carr, like, not to name drop, but David Carr finally, he backed me up on my Allen Robinson top 5 receiver. Never gets the benefit of the doubt. And I don't know. It's just, Bears fans amuse me. The situation amuses me. There's a lot of things going on. And thankfully, we got to beat the Packers to get into the playoffs. So that's working out perfect. Yeah. Thankfully, you guys aren't as good as you think you are. So that's also helpful.
Yes.
Like, no disrespect. But by the way, what were the Titans doing? Like, I've not seen a team more fraudulent than the Titans. And I don't know why I expected them to go out there and play well. Like, we've seen the Titans go up against good teams. They just get rolled.
Sure.
And it's like, even when, I don't know, you have AJ Brown, like, you should be able to, when the team is committed to, like, we're not letting Derrick Henry run. We're like, all right, let's throw it to AJ Brown. Like, Mitch could have done that.
Yeah.
But hopefully Mitch can do that.
Well, I mean, I think that's what was fascinating too, is like, as the game got closer, like, I was streaming the game before and I was just like, we're going to score like 45 on the Titans because their defense is atrocious. Like, awful. It is terrible. And listen, like, our run defense isn't great. I think it's also overplayed how bad it is, but it isn't great.
It's underplayed.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
But I think the fact that like they won, we did a nice job containing Henry, but like they just look lost. And I don't know if it was because of the snow. I don't know if it was because of the cold. I don't, whatever. But, beating the Titans, I was just like, okay, that's pretty good. Because again, for me, and this is removing all bias, the teams that are in the NFC right now who are going to make the playoffs, potentially even you guys too, you're really the only team that I know could go into Lambeau and not have a problem with the conditions. The team, sure, but with the conditions. But you look at a team like the Saints or the Bucks, or hell, even like the Rams, or if the Cardinals sneak in, Seahawks maybe, but they usually struggle at Lambeau too. I'm like, yeah, that's looking real good.
Yeah, what you really, the Titans represented a challenge that posed itself last year for the Packers, where the 49ers were able to run all over you. And that's why going into that game, I thought the Titans would have a lot of success. Like, oh, that's very similar. But then you realize like, oh, Kyle Shanahan might be a better coach than Vrabel. Maybe. Yeah. So you look at the teams in the NFC. If the Buccaneers probably have no chance, they have definitely no chance. Like, even though Tom Brady played in the cold, shut up. That's never happened.
I really hope. I don't need to get blown out by them again.
No, you're not in the tundra. The Rams, what's funny about the Rams is everybody thinks that they're like this soft, like West Coast team, but they're such a run-based organization with Sean McVay. Without Cam Akers, without like Malcolm Brown's out too. If they don't have their running backs and Daryl Henderson's out, if they have to go with Malcolm Brown, there's no chance. If they have Cam Akers and they wanted to keep it on the ground, their defense is good enough to okay, maybe they can slow down the Packers enough, shorten the game. They would have a chance. Seattle, as you said, they struggle in Lambeau, but they also have that kind of thing too. Yeah. The Bears, I think, are also in that mix because we'll see how well they can run the ball this week. Mm-hmm. Because watching the Titans not be able to run it, that was the one thing you're like, damn, because like that's what we have to do. That's what the Bears have to establish the run. And Montgomery's got to have he's had good games against them previously, or he did earlier this year.
Sure.
They got to be able to run against them. And if Mitch, because that'll open up Mitch to do what I always hate to say, what Mitch does well, but he can run. He's an athlete. He can kind of do that kind of Tannehill thing.
Yeah.
Where he scores and the defense is a little better. So I'm optimistic because like everybody's just acting like it's a fait accompli. Like, this is over. And I'm like, it's not going to be like that. Like I fully expect the Bears to get their hearts broken because, I'm pessimistic. Even the most optimistic Bears fan is like, yeah, we've seen this movie before. I don't expect it to be an embarrassment. I don't expect it to be a blowout or anything like that. They can, the Bears can surprise. I think of last year, when they were playing the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football.
Yes.
Like that was a good game. Like that was a team. Like that's a legitimate, the defense came to play. It's always that, they got to find a way, which is easier said than done to stop Devontae Adams. And it's tough because I think Jalen could do a nice job with him deep. Like if Jalen's healthy and ready to go, he could do a nice, I'm not saying stop him, but I'm like, he can do a nice job. And Kyle Fuller does well under, wait, am I getting this reversed? Kyle, but it's like the combination of the two cornerbacks are fine. Yeah, they'll beat Kyle underneath and things like that. So it's always like, God, that's why you got to kind of hope that Jalen develops into this Devontae Adams type stopper.
Yeah.
The way that Peter Tillman was able to kind of slow down Megatron and stuff like that. So, there's pieces there, like it can happen. Like there's enough talent and everything going around that I don't think it's going to be the blowout. The thing that it's kind of interesting to me seeing the Bears get into the playoffs still, because everybody just assumes that the Rams have no chance against the Cardinals. But I think that Sean McVay he's such a better coach than Cliff Kingsbury, that even though they're 9 wins and they're locked into their spot, to go out there and beat Cliff Kingsbury with John Wolford is just going to be something that Sean McVay is going to bottle up and sip on during the entire offseason. Because I think that more than anything, I'm like, the Rams are going to beat that. Like, I'm not even sweating that. Maybe that's why I'm so happy. Like, whatever. Like, I want to see a good game against the Packers.
Sure.
But we'll see. I'm not giving up. Like, I know I'm pessimistic. I'm actually talking myself into thinking like we got a chance.
You know what? I love that for you. I'm glad that that kind of optimism and hope resonates with you at the end of a rough year. It's a new year, so you start off with a lot of optimism. That's definitely a positive outlook. I mean, you also mentioned too. I mean, like I don't even know if Kyler Murray's playing though. Like, so if Kyler Murray doesn't
Yeah.
play too, like that's also a significant problem. Then I take the Rams all day.
Oh yeah. Like
So
which coach would you pick to win with their backup quarterback?
yeah, and
I mean,
the,
we saw
like the defense alone, like you were mentioning too, like that could be a very very good defense. Like, and I think you have a backup quarterback in there, it's game over.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, they're set up to win in the playoffs.
Mhm.
And I know that it just seems weird because everybody thinks Sean McVay and they think this high flying, greatest show on turf type offense, but it's like, no, he's a good coach. He's got West Coast Trubisky as his quarterback, and he's trying to figure it out. If he ever had a quarterback, like if he had, like the league should step in. Like honestly, like I know, like the league should step in. Like I feel like the commissioner should have these unilateral like powers
Yeah.
to like make these situations where he just comes in and he's like, look, you guys share a stadium. You're going to have to share this quarterback. Rams, you get Justin Herbert. Chargers, you get Trubisky or Goff, excuse me. Like
Same
that.
thing.
The league should, West Coast Trubisky. That's what he is. I think the league should be able to step in and like in the best interest of the game.
Okay.
Be like, Herbert should be the Rams quarterback. Like it would just make the league better.
So like we've invested like a ton of money in this brand new stadium. Got to listen, COVID, people weren't attending, got to get that revenue back up, so it's just put Herbert in there.
I would actually, if I was Stan Kroenke, I would absolve the Chargers of rent and say, listen, you guys don't have to pay rent forever, but we get Justin Herbert. And knowing that the Chargers probably place a priority on making money over, winning, they would probably take that. Like, I think that I would offer that trade.
Yeah.
I think Les Snead should call him up right now. Be like, dude, let's make this happen.
Like, let's make it happen. Like, let's just do it. Like, it's for everybody. Yeah. I'm about it. You mentioned before, speaking of quarterbacks, that you do have a QB problem, right? And that Trubisky has been playing better, right? Has been playing better. Again, bar is like here. So like, it's like right there. Like it's still an improvement. There's still growth. So what the hell do you do in 2021? How do you even begin to proceed? Do you even glance at the draft and are like, let's see, maybe if there's somebody there? You do have Nick Foles that you're still paying a bunch of money to. What do you do?
Yeah, that's interesting because you can still bring Mitch back on a franchise tagging him.
Yeah.
If you want to give him one more year, and it's tough to find quarterbacks. You don't know how it's going to fall out in the draft. Another BYU kid expected to go to the 49ers. I've seen mock drafts where the 49ers trade up to get him.
Yeah.
There's Fields. There's quarterbacks out there. There's the North Dakota kid. If he happened to find, like, the Bears kind of played themselves out of the quarterback draft market by playing so well. Like if they had just flamed out and were top 3, but even then, like that's the thing that's always so amusing to me is everybody being like, oh, the Bears should have tanked for a quarterback. You're like, yeah, they did it a couple of years ago. They ended up with Mitch.
Didn't work out.
Doesn't always work this way. I really wish they would have taken a chance on Jalen Hurts. You can check out my Instagram. I was talking about that in April before the draft. I'm like, I hope the Bears, I didn't like nail what they did, but I'm like, they need a corner and a tight end, which were the 2 draft picks that they used. And I'm like, and my whole thing was like, but I would take Jalen Hurts if he was available. And I feel like that would have solved a lot of the issues. I don't know if they want to go back into the veteran quarterback market. Like, let's suppose that Sam Darnold, if the Jets moved on from him, Gardner Minshew, probably for likely to be available, why not bring in both? That quarterback room of Minshew and Foles worked out so well in Duval County. Let's bring it to Chicago. Put them right there in Schaumburg. See what happens.
Yes.
So I personally, I would rather use the franchise tag on Allen Robinson. Like that to me would be a little bit more important because otherwise I've already got a tweet in drafts ready to go to where it says like Allen Robinson has been one of my favorite players in Bears history. any Bears fan that is upset with him leaving, taking the money to go play in Green Bay is an idiot because the Bears forced him. The Bears forced him into this position. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
He would have been happy to stay in Chicago. We put him there, and I'm rooting for him. I'm going to draft him in fantasy. My kids are still going to wear his jersey. Like, I don't care. Like, I would never be upset with that. I know Matt Forte was pretty cool about not going to Green Bay, and I think Kyle Long alluded to it as well.
Yeah.
But if Allen Robinson wants to be, like, if they don't sign him because they're stupid, and he wants to go, like, go sign with whoever you think's going to win you a ring and go give you a lot of money. I have no. So that tweet is ready to go. So I will still be the number one Allen. I will still be the number one Allen Robinson fan. So I would prefer to put my resources into that and then kind of look at the quarterback market, try to draft a guy in the second round, perhaps. I think that, I mean, if you don't sign Allen Robinson, you're almost forcing yourself to draft a quarterback or draft a receiver in the first round.
Yeah.
I would love for them to draft a tackle. You know, that would make, because the interior line's looking pretty good. You're like, oh yeah, this interior line's starting to shape up. You're like, okay, you can see the work in progress. So I don't know. I've kind of resigned myself to Robinson being on the Packers next year, Mitch being the quarterback, and why get my hopes up anywhere else?
So there's just short-term positivity going on right now. It's like, it's very, very short-term.
Yeah, you know what? I still like to take it week to week. Like, I don't want to get too into the weeds. Like, why am I worried? Like, I don't have to make these decisions. Like, it's fun when people are like, here's what I think the Bears should do in the offseason. You're like, bitch, like, they still have a winnable game to get into the playoffs. Like, is there, like, I know a couple years ago, the Chris Conte game, everybody still thinks about that. And there's a chance that happens again. But think about how much fun it would be. Like, if we don't have to go too far in the past. Think about 2018.
Yep.
Khalil Mack sacked Aaron Rodgers with his back. Like, this team, like, there's some good players. Like, these guys, they're motivated. They're having fun. They're kicking ass. Like, they're scoring a lot of points. Like, the last 3 weeks is what you kind of expected. Like, oh, this is going to be a fun team.
Sure.
And everybody was like, oh, this offensive genius, Matt Net. You're like, I don't know. He's kind of, seems like it's coming together now. And if it ends up being a victory, like if we beat the Packers to get into the playoffs, why are you getting excited for this? Like, we'll worry about next year.
Sure.
Like, let's let Thursday Adam, but no, it's Wednesday. I don't know. I don't know if you stream this and try to play it off as live, but
no, this is pre-recorded and it will come out tomorrow.
Thursday Adam is going to be excited about the upcoming week, and then we'll worry about it in the future. By the way, I hope you noticed too. People are like, oh, he's not wearing Bears gear. I've not worn Bears gear since the Lions game. And in addition to Mitch Trubisky, I think that I've also been a huge part of the Bears turnaround over the last couple of weeks. So props to me.
Yeah, I think shout outs are warranted. I think you should definitely wear some Bears merch though on Sunday. 100%.
Nope.
Well, here's the thing about, and this is what always kind of annoys me, is that like, oh, we won't go far in the playoffs crowd. Like, they said the same thing about the Titans last year. They went to the AFC Championship game. Like, there have been 6 seeds, who have won the Super Bowl before. Like, and I've said this throughout the entire year for the Bears. That defense will keep them in games and will be a mismatch for people. All the Bears have to do is win 4 games, and they're in the Super Bowl. So their defense needs to show up 4 times. Is it going to happen? And the offense plays like pretty well? It could, but yeah, it doesn't make that's why I've never liked the tanking thing. I never liked the whole like, oh, let's give up it already. It makes no sense to me. Cause like, again, even like the Jaguars were like, oh, I'm going to get Trevor Lawrence. Like, there's a possibility that he sucks. And again, then what happens? Then you just had a terrible season and it's gone. Like, you did it for nothing. So yeah, no, I ain't about it.
Yeah, I hate that. And it's like, we've missed on picks before. Like, it's not like, it happens a lot, and quarterbacks going first overall. I think that Trevor Lawrence is more in line with guys like Andrew Luck, who you're like, this guy is going to be automatic.
He's going to be good. Yeah.
But, you think of some of the other quarterbacks like Jared Goff and Carson Wentz, like look back at that in hindsight, Johnny Manziel, even Sam Darnold, although I think Sam Darnold's really good. So I never of them. Why are you giving up a year like this?
Yeah.
This defense, these players, like I don't think Khalil Mack wants to give up on a year.
No.
And I think now when these guys are starting to come together, like Roquan Smith is playing really well, and Danny Trevathan's played really well. And Bears fans are so.
I loved Smith coming out of college too. I wanted him so bad.
Oh gosh, yeah, what a great player! So I was really excited to get him. So they've made some good picks. They've missed. Well, Leonard Floyd's done well for the Rams, but didn't work out in Chicago, which is fine. You know what though? I do want to make fun of the. Can we make fun of the Vikings for a moment? Because we talk about we're talking about play. You guys are going to the playoffs.
Sure.
We're not going to. We're going. I think we're going. So F it. We're both going to the playoffs.
Got it.
Vikings fans. You talk about predictions. Vikings fans were so livid, so upset. Oh my God, we're going. Your predictions are garbage every year. I famously missed on the 49ers. That happens. I even underestimated the Packers. I had you guys winning the division last year. I had you at 8-8 this year. Obviously exceeded those expectations. But listen, obviously, I'm not going to sit here. Yeah, okay. Their defense played better than I thought. I knew Aaron Rodgers was going to play really well. I was one of the few non-Packers fans who was on board with Aaron Rodgers this season. I haven't taken enough of a victory lap. And people are like, well, you're trying to jinx him. I'm like, no. I knew. Patrick Claybon, who hosts Fantasy Live. Yeah. I love him. But we always have this thing about hey, these guys are motivated. He doesn't believe in that. How? They're human beings.
Sure.
And is there a person in the NFL who is more petty than Aaron Rodgers? There is not.
I knew it was
you
coming.
Don't think?
I knew it was coming.
No. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't want to I know you guys don't at me, but I'm saying in the same way that Michael Jordan was petty. If you spent any time watching,
and I took that personally.
That's it. Everything. I asked Scottie Pippen to bring me a cheese pizza. You brought it with pepperoni. I took that personal. And I broke his jaw in practice. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
But this is what happens with really elite athletes. Sure. And to think that drafting Jordan Love, and not drafting a wide receiver, you could have had Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, somebody like that. You don't think that pisses off a quarterback? Obviously, not that he was tanking before,
sure,
but now you've added motivation. It's like talking S to a guy playing pickup who's kind of he's good. Don't turn him into that monster.
You're poking the bear.
Because these guys have switches that don't exist for us. There's another level to them that just doesn't exist. There's something in their DNA that has separated them from us already. Now you really turn it on. There was a major league pitcher named Brett Tomko who lived where I used to live in East Orange County. And so he lived in the area and he would play pickup basketball. And so he was there, and, and he's kind of he's good, he's
sure.
Good. And then some idiot, because, Angel fans are around, would talk shit to, sorry, I didn't.
You're okay. You could curse on the show.
And then all of a sudden Tomko's dunking. And I'm like, hey, thanks for bringing that out of Brett Tomko. Appreciate you. He's doing alley-oops now. I hope you think that I'm guarding him, by the way. You had to run your mouth. Thank you for that. So I thought that Aaron Rodgers, I thought he was going to have a great season. The defense has obviously played a lot better. That's why you guys have won the division and have a great chance to go to the Super Bowl. The Vikings, I knew you were garbage. You've shown yourselves to be garbage. And I wish I hadn't muted all of you on Twitter, because I'm sure you're there now apologizing to me.
Oh, I'm
telling me that I was spot on, because the Bears were spot on. Missed the Packers a little bit. Spot on with the Lions, because I had a lot of Lion fans I think this is the year. I'm like, shut up. You're not.
Every year. You're
not doing it. You're not doing it. The Vikings, though, that's one that I'm just enjoying so much. And this was a thing I said on Sunday, is I said that Kirk Cousins is the quarterback equivalent of getting mittens for Christmas. And apparently people in Minnesota hate mittens because they were pissed. They're so upset. This is, how dare you? Who's your quarterback? How good is Mitch? Listen, fool, we're not talking about Mitch. I'm talking about Kirk Cousins. He's mittens. And by the way, mittens are fine. I have no problem with mittens.
Fine.
They're practical.
Serviceable.
They keep you warm. They're serviceable. But don't ever delude yourself into thinking that it's the greatest Christmas present you ever received. You're not going to sit there 12 years from now. You're like, oh my God, let me tell you about the time I got mittens. Okay. There's a difference. You can enjoy a present and like it. Like, oh, and then finally one guy's like, oh, so what was Drew Brees on Sunday? What was he? And I said, well, I don't know. Like, he was like re-gifting a vintage members only jacket from the 80s that was worn by a smoker who also doused himself in aqua velva. So like that's how Drew Brees is. Again, not bad. There's some sentimental value. You're like, this was something back in the day,
but it's
kind of garbage now.
It's been used. It's been worn in quite a bit.
Can I say something else about the Saints?
Oh, yes, and real quick too. Also, they also spent $84 million on those mittens. I want to make that very clear too.
Oh yeah.
I just want to make sure that was like it's not just like, oh man, like we got mittens. It's like, no, like your grandma literally like sold her condo so you could get those mittens. And actually, people left. Like your grandfather divorced her. They've been married 80 years, and they just left. There was an exodus because they bought you those $84 million mittens. So I just wanted, how do you like that now? Like
she went shopping at one of those high-end shops, like owned by Kanye, who's selling the $84 million mittens. Yeah. You're like, you couldn't have just picked that up at Kohl's? Like, nope. Had to go.
Kohl's Cash.
Kohl's Cash. I swear to God. Whenever I see Kohl's Cash in the house, I rip that shit up immediately. Do not go back there. No. Like every time, like I will screw over. Let me use the Kohl's Cash because I'll screw it over. I'll sit there with a calculator and I'll like be like, okay, this is perfect. This is perfect. Because I know that if you don't exceed that, like if you have $10, as long as you don't spend 11, they won't charge you. But I always have change on me because like every once in a while, one of them would be like, oh, that's 84 cents. Like, here, bitch. Like, go. Like, I got you. Bam. I'm out of the store for $1. I will find the item because I will not play the game. Like, oh, do you have your third? No 30%. No. Full price this bad boy.
Yep.
That's it. That's all I want. My point being, I rip up Cold Cash. But yeah, I agree with you. That was a good tag. I like that.
I try to enhance, but please, yes. Let's.
By the way, like that's always a thing. Like on Twitter, a lot of the time, like or anything like that was a great tag. Like I would use that. Like I'm gonna end up using that later on. If I ever use that mittens analogy, I'm now stealing that. You paid 84 million for it. Like that's a good tag. The
oh, hold on. I gotta be careful about stealing. Sorry. Good.
Oh, geez. Don't want to.
That's a little inside baseball right there.
But too often, people have to tag your jokes on Twitter, and that's for the worst. Like, nope,
100%.
Didn't need that tag.
It's don't people need without humor trying to be humorous and just being just like, well, I'm going to add this to it. And I'm just like,
can I tell? And it's, I always have to be careful too, because you're like, okay. Because like people who are not funny, like, I got a tag for you. Like a couple of times, people have given me great tags that I still use to this day. And I love it. Can I tell you that one time one of my friends gave me, he's like, oh, you're homeless thing. You'd be funny if you said this. And I'm like, oh shit, that is funny. So I did it at an open mic and this guy comes up to me. He goes, hey, he's like, hey, great job. He's like, hey, do you know like that one thing that you said? He's like, I'm pretty sure that's a Norm Macdonald joke. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, either my friend is a genius.
Yeah.
Like who's like knew that this was going to embarrass me and set me up, or he's just a dummy. So I go up and I'm like, hey, Greg, thanks for that tag. By the way, where did you think of that? It's like, oh, it's a Norm Macdonald joke. And I'm like, hey, asshole, like I can't use somebody else's jokes.
That's like literally like the one thing you can't do.
He's like, why not? I'm like, I'm not like a cover band sitting here going out and being like, hey guys, who wants to hear some Carlin? Yeah. So she told me to get on the plane. I said, fuck you. I'm going to get in the plane. Like you don't do that. That's exactly what you don't do.
Yes. 100%. 100%.
Oh my God. It's just so silly. Like, I don't know how you thought this worked, but that is
this is not it. That's not the way that it works. Yeah. No, that's
not the way.
So you were saying the Saints,
if they wanted to have any chance of beating the Packers in the playoffs, and they probably don't, If they start Drew Brees in Lambeau, you might as well just say you're losing. The only one that gives them a chance would be putting Taysom Hill out there. Like that would be enough of a thing. That would be Colin Kaepernick like when he used to run through the Packers during the playoffs. Like would give them that kind of edge.
Yeah.
To the point, like I remember when we first brought in Mitch, and I'm like, God, I go, they should pull Kaepernick out. Like I've always wanted Kaepernick to be once he was let go by the 49ers.
Yeah.
I always wanted him to be the Bears quarterback because I'm like, did you guys not watch the playoff games? Like,
yeah,
did you guys turn off the TV in January?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh. And like Mitch's game is kind of similar, like mobile guys who can hold on and run. I think Colin's obviously a better runner, but it's like, God, could you imagine like in those games where Mitch went out and like, here comes Kaepernick running over people.
Yeah.
Son of a bee. But yeah, so that would be the only way, but I think the Saints would end up doing the dumb thing. I don't know. They probably like start Winston or something, but like if they go with Drew Brees in the playoffs outdoors, they're the dumb.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to go well. And that's like why, like last year, like the Packers overachieved. I think we talked about this last time. Like Packers definitely overachieved. And like we won some like really, really close games. And like, it was like, they didn't really look so good. I mean, a win's a win, but we go into the playoffs, we beat Seattle, who was also banged up, but we beat Seattle. And like going into Santa Clara, I was like, we're probably like, I don't like outwardly say this or root against my team, but I'm like, we're probably going to like lose this game. Like it's going to be very difficult for the Green Bay Packers to win.
Yeah.
And we got blown out literally as soon as like the whistle blew and we didn't go for it on fourth down at like midfield. Like, and I was just like, okay. And that game's like done. This year, Rodgers has never had an NFC championship game at home. And the opponents and the level of opponents that are there in the NFC, who I would argue are pretty weak, in terms of compared to like
they've never been the number one seed.
Not with Rodgers. No,
the Rodgers has never been a number one seed.
Nope.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Cause they won the Super Bowl at 6.
Yeah.
I then, well, I'm sorry. They were the They were the number one seed in 2011, but they lost in the divisional round. So they never hosted a championship game.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and then in 2014, they were 2, and that's when they had to go to Seattle for the championship game. And, that went how that went. So
what was the year the Giants beat them? That was 11, right?
Yeah. That was 2011. And then 07 with Favre.
Yes.
Yeah. So Rodgers has they've won the number one seed, but they've never hosted a championship game because they either get bounced before that happens or, I think they only got the one seed once, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, no, it's a game changer. I mean, especially this year where there's a lack of fans and everything like that, there's so many dome teams or warm weather teams. Yeah. I mean, like, listen, I'm not going to like sit here and pretend like, oh, well, like the Packers, if they do this, like they're going to be able to beat the Chiefs or they're going to be able to do this, that, and the other thing. Cause the AFC is tough this year. Like the AFC, They got some ballers in there.
They're going to have a 10-win team that doesn't make the playoffs.
Correct.
And yet the 5-win Cowboys are going to be hosting a playoff game in the NFC.
Yes. That is accurate. That is 100% accurate against Tom Brady. By the way, how funny would it be if the Cowboys beat Tom Brady and the Buccaneers? I would die laughing.
That would be good. I would enjoy that.
I would die. So, well, Mr. Adam Rank, I got one final question for you. It's been a pleasure as always. This Sunday, likelihood of the Bears coming away with the W.
Let me say this. I'm with you. Like sometimes I can recognize when my team is not going to be able to match up and play well. And like, you know, I really do believe that the Bears have an opportunity here. Again, I go back to the game I was talking about from last year, the Sunday night game when the Cowboys came to Soldier Field. The Bears
great game for Mitch too. I remember watching that game. It was like, damn.
Yeah, the Bears, you know, they wore those cool throwbacks, you know, the 100th anniversary team. I really do believe the Bears have a chance to win, but unfortunately, it comes down to Mitch, and it comes. I really do believe that the Packers are going to do the same thing that they did to the Titans. They're going to load the box. They're not going to let David Montgomery beat them. It's going to put the onus on Mitch to get outside of the pocket, do a number of different things. I think it's possible. I'm not saying it's probable. Yeah, I think it's possible. I think the defense is going to rise to the occasion. I mean, you're not going to shut that. You're not going to shut out Aaron Rodgers, but I have enough confidence offensively this year to get, or this past couple of weeks, to get them to that point to where they can pull out the victory. So I'm not counting on it, but I think I would tell you if I thought that they had no chance.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would think it's a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a blowout at all.
I don't get that. I don't.
The defense is too good. Like the defense is too good for it to be a blowout, and it's a divisional game, which obviously can go either way. Like they usually are not blowouts, and I don't see it. I mean, and I don't think anything in terms of like momentum and all that stuff. Like the Bears have everything to play for, because like again, you can't rely on the Cardinals to lose.
No, none of that's going to factor into play. I just think that they found a little bit of a groove. They found what Mitch does well. Jimmy Graham's been playing excellent, and so
glad he has for you.
You got Bob Tunyon, which, by the way, I still find to be kind of I feel like it's kind of a reverse. Like I was joking around the last time when the Packers did beat the Bears excessively, is I had Bob Tunyon. I said, you don't think that Aaron Rodgers is still pissed at Jimmy Graham? He's going to throw at least 2 touchdowns to Bob Tunyon. And people are like, oh, you're joking. I'm like, I'm not joking.
He's an angry man.
Did you not watch The Bachelorette? Like, listen, there's something about him. Although he was really nice I always feel bad because he was really nice to me. I've heard him not be nice to other people, but he was really nice to me. So I always feel bad sometimes. I'm like, oh man, I hate, because he was almost delightful with me. Even like wearing Bears gear and doing stuff. Like he played along.
That's a shame. He definitely should have been a complete asshole to you.
I mean, he was, but it was in a fun way.
It was like, endearing.
They're like, yeah, because people are like, why were you like, this guy's obnoxious to him? You're like, yeah, that's the joke.
Yeah, literally.
And he bought in and he went with it like that. Like, this makes Rodgers look good. I'm like, exactly. Like, exactly. He took it the way he was supposed to.
You know how the game works, my friends.
Yeah.
That's it. Buddy, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you hopping on. It's always a great time. Tell the people I appreciate you dealing with this.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah. No, it's good. Listen, this shows how this is real. This is that's a real hutch, China cabinet. Can we say what do you call it? You call it China cabinet, hutch?
I growing up, I think it was China cabinet.
I think, I don't know the terminology. It's such a Midwest thing because my mom was so proud of her China cabinet. Like, loved that thing so much. So it's a Midwest staple. Although I know you're. I mean,
this is New York, but yes.
I get confused because you're a Packers guy. Like you and Aaron are both Nagler are both New Yorkers now, and it's like, oh God, it always. Well, I'm in California. Look at me admonishing you.
Oh, you're East Coast.
You guys aren't playing up to the gimmick. Like, oh crap, yeah, that's right. I'm in Huntington.
My bad.
I'm not in Huntington. By the way, I'm not in Huntington Beach. If I accidentally do not think I live in that town that is run by a UFC guy.
No.
In any event, hit me up on Twitter at Adam Reich. All my shows are done now, so you're gonna hit me up on Twitter. Actually, Instagram.
What do you do now?
You know what? I write. I continue to write and do some stuff and do some stuff for the network. More of the the everyman kind of guy. Like whenever Kyle Brandt refuses to do something, they're like, Rank will do it. And then here I show up like, hey guys, you want me in a cheerleading costume? I'm in.
Done.
So
listen, do what you gotta do. That's it, baby. Buddy, always appreciate you. Everyone can find me at TomGrossiComedy.com and all the Tom Grossi comedy stuff. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.
No.